We all know governments classify certain locations for national security. Military bases, research facilities, places where sensitive work happens behind closed doors. But what if I told you there are locations so restricted, so heavily guarded, that even their existence is officially denied? Places where the military has erected fences, deployed armed personnel, and threatened prosecution for anyone who gets too close. Doesn't make sense, does it? If these places don't exist, why protect them so aggressively? Yet, across the United States and beyond, there are zones marked only by warning signs and silence. Areas where the ground itself seems to hold secrets the government refuses to acknowledge. Today, we're uncovering 5 real places authorities refuse to discuss, and the disturbing evidence that's emerged despite decades of official denial. Dulce Base, the underground city that doesn't exist. Beneath the high desert of northern New Mexico, near the small town of Dulce on the Jicarilla Apache Reservation, lies what many believe to be one of the most classified facilities in the United States. Officially, it doesn't exist. The government has never acknowledged it. No maps show it, no budgets list it. But according to multiple whistleblowers, construction workers, and local residents, Dulce Base is real. And it's massive. The story begins in the late 1960s, when residents of Dulce reported unusual activity in the mesas surrounding the town. Heavy equipment moving at night, helicopters transporting materials to remote locations, and most strangely, a sudden influx of military personnel who refused to answer questions about their purpose. Then came the cattle mutilations. Between 1967 and 1989, over 10,000 cattle across the region were found dead under mysterious circumstances. The animals were drained of blood, their organs surgically removed with precision that suggested advanced technology. Local ranchers reported seeing unmarked helicopters hovering over their land at night, strange lights in the sky, and military vehicles patrolling areas that had no official installations. In 1979, a man named Phil Schneider came forward with an extraordinary claim. He said he had worked as a geological engineer on classified government projects, including the construction of deep underground military bases, or DUMBs. According to Schneider, Dulce Base was one of them, a 7-level facility built into the side of Archuleta Mesa, extending over 2 miles underground. He described vast tunnels connecting multiple levels, sophisticated air filtration systems, and laboratories conducting experiments he refused to detail. Schneider claimed that in 1979, while drilling to expand the base, his crew broke through into a natural cavern that was already occupied. He described a violent confrontation that left several workers dead and himself severely injured. He showed scars on his body as proof, including burns and lacerations he said came from directed energy weapons. 2 years after going public with his story, Schneider was found dead in his apartment. The official cause of death was suicide by strangulation with a catheter tube, but investigators noted that his hands were bound, and there were bruises suggesting a struggle. His death was never fully explained. Since then, others have come forward. A former security officer claimed he worked at Dulce Base in the 1980s, describing a facility far more advanced than anything publicly acknowledged. He spoke of magnetically levitated trains connecting the base to other underground installations, some as far away as Los Alamos and Area 51. He described seeing technology that seemed decades ahead of what the public knew existed. The government's response has been consistent denial. When questioned, officials state that no such facility exists, and that reports of underground construction are either misidentified mining operations or elaborate hoaxes. But the evidence persists. Satellite imagery of the Dulce area shows unusual thermal signatures beneath Archuleta Mesa, heat sources too large and too consistent to be natural. Ground-penetrating radar conducted by independent researchers in the 1990s detected large voids beneath the surface, some over 200 feet in height. And then there are the signs. Around the perimeter of certain areas near Dulce, unmarked fences have appeared, reinforced with motion sensors and cameras. Local hikers who ventured too close report being intercepted by armed security personnel in civilian clothing, who escort them away without explanation. No badges, no identification. Just orders to leave. In 2003, a documentary crew attempted to film near Archuleta Mesa. Their equipment malfunctioned repeatedly, cameras losing power, GPS failing, and compasses spinning erratically. When they reviewed their footage later, several minutes were corrupted, replaced by static and distorted audio that sounded, according to one crew member, like machinery running deep underground. The town of Dulce itself remains quiet. Residents rarely speak about the base, and those who do often describe being warned, sometimes subtly, sometimes overtly, to stop asking questions. One former mayor, interviewed anonymously in 2011, said simply, "There are things here we're not supposed to talk about, and we don't. Dulce's base may not appear on any official map, but something is beneath that mesa, and the government's refusal to discuss it only deepens the mystery. The Hoia Baciu forest, where time distorts and compasses fail." In the Transylvania region of Romania, just outside the city of Cluj-Napoca, lies a forest that even locals avoid. The Hoia Baciu forest is small, barely 600 acres, but its reputation is immense. It's known as the Bermuda Triangle of Romania, a place where people vanish, time distorts, and technology fails without explanation. The forest's sinister reputation dates back centuries. Local legends tell of a shepherd who entered with a flock of 200 sheep and never returned. No bodies were found, no trace of the animals, just silence. In the 1960s, the forest gained international attention when biologist Alexandru Sift photographed what appeared to be a disc-shaped object hovering above the trees. The photo was analyzed by multiple experts and remains unexplained to this day. But the real mystery of Hoia Baciu isn't the legends. It's the documented experiences of those who ventured inside. Visitors consistently report the same phenomena. Compasses spin wildly, pointing in random directions. Electronic devices malfunction or lose power entirely. Cameras capture strange orbs of light, visible in photos but not to the naked eye. And there's the clearing, a perfectly circular area in the heart of the forest where no vegetation grows. Soil samples taken from the clearing show no chemical contamination, no radiation, nothing that explains why trees refuse to root there. Yet the circle remains barren, year after year, as if the ground itself rejects life. In 1968, a military technician named Emil Barnea entered the forest with friends and photographed a metallic, disc-shaped object in the sky. The Romanian government confiscated his camera, interrogated him for hours, and then returned it with the film removed. Barnea later obtained copies of his photos through unofficial channels and released them publicly. The images show a classic flying saucer, clear and undeniable. The government never commented. Time distortion is perhaps the most disturbing aspect of Hoia Baciu. Multiple visitors have described entering the forest for what felt like minutes, only to emerge hours later. One woman, hiking through the forest in 2002, said she walked for 10 minutes before feeling disoriented and turning back. When she reached her car, 5 hours had passed. She had no memory of where the time went. Another case, documented by paranormal researcher Adrian Patrit, involved a 5-year-old girl who disappeared in the forest in the 1950s. A search party found no trace of her. 5 years later, she emerged from the forest wearing the same clothes, claiming she had only been gone for a few hours. She had no memory of what happened, and had not aged a single day. The Romanian government has never officially acknowledged anything unusual about Hoia Baciu. But in the 1970s, military personnel were stationed at the forest's perimeter, restricting access without explanation. The restrictions lasted for several years, before being quietly lifted. No official reason was ever given. Today, the forest is accessible, but few locals enter. Those who do often leave quickly, describing overwhelming feelings of dread, nausea, and the sensation of being watched. Scientific teams have recorded electromagnetic anomalies, fluctuations in background radiation, and infrasound, low-frequency noise below the range of human hearing that can induce fear and disorientation. But none of these findings explain the experiences people report. Hoya Baciu Forest remains a place where the laws of nature seem negotiable, and the government's silence only makes it more unsettling. Mount Yamantau, Russia's forbidden mountain. In the southern Ural Mountains of Russia, far from major cities and hidden beneath thick forest, rises Mount Yamantau. It's the highest peak in the region, towering over 5,000 feet. And according to U.S. intelligence agencies, it's also the site of one of the largest secret construction projects in modern history. The Russian government refuses to discuss it. For decades, satellite imagery has shown massive excavation and construction activity on and around Mount Yamantau. Tunnels bored deep into the mountain, railway lines leading to nowhere, enormous ventilation shafts rising from the forest floor. The scale of the operation is staggering, comparable to entire cities. During the Cold War, U.S. analysts believe the Soviets were building a massive underground bunker, possibly a command center designed to survive nuclear war. But the construction didn't stop when the Cold War ended. It accelerated. In the 1990s, American officials directly asked Russian leaders about Yamantau. The responses were vague and contradictory. First, they said it was a mining operation, then a repository for Russian treasures, then a food storage facility. None of these explanations matched the evidence. Why would a food storage facility require such extensive security? Why would a mine need so many ventilation shafts? In 1996, U.S. satellites detected a massive increase in activity. Thousands of workers, heavy machinery, and convoys of trucks moving materials into the mountain. The New York Times reported that the construction cost exceeded $10 billion, an astronomical sum for a facility the Russian government claimed was insignificant. Defectors and former Soviet engineers have described what they believe is inside. A self-contained underground city capable of housing tens of thousands of people for years. Massive stockpiles of food, water, and supplies. Command and control centers for Russia's nuclear arsenal. And possibly, secret research facilities conducting experiments the world is not meant to know about. One former engineer, interviewed in 2003, described seeing plans for a facility extending over 5 miles underground with its own power generation, water recycling, and air filtration systems. He said the bunker was designed to survive a direct nuclear strike and continue functioning indefinitely. The Russian government's response to these claims has been absolute denial. When pressed by international journalists, officials say only that Mount Yamantau is a matter of national security and will not be discussed. Satellite images continue to show activity, new construction, expanded road networks. And in 2018, commercial satellites detected unusual heat signatures inside the mountain, suggesting active operations on a large scale. What is Russia hiding inside Mount Yamantau? Is it a Cold War relic? A monument to paranoia that continues out of bureaucratic momentum? Or is it an active functioning facility with a purpose so sensitive that even after the collapse of the Soviet Union, it remains one of the world's most closely guarded secrets? The U.S. government has stopped asking, and Russia has stopped pretending to answer. Kapustin Yar, Russia's Area 51. If Area 51 is America's most famous secret base, Kapustin Yar is its Russian counterpart. Located in the Astrakhan Oblast, near the Volga River, this sprawling military installation has been the site of some of the Soviet Union's most classified programs. Officially, it's a missile testing range. Unofficially, it's been linked to UFO sightings, weapons testing, and experiments that defy conventional science. The base was established in 1946, and from the beginning it was shrouded in secrecy. During the Cold War, Western intelligence agencies knew it existed, but could gather little information. U-2 spy planes photographed the site, revealing vast launch facilities, radar installations, and underground bunkers. But the Soviets shot down several reconnaissance aircraft that ventured too close, making further observation dangerous. What makes Kapustin Yar particularly mysterious is the sheer number of UFO sightings reported in the area. Between 1948 and 1991, Soviet military personnel documented hundreds of unidentified aerial phenomena near the base. Some reports described objects moving at impossible speeds, changing direction instantaneously, and emitting intense light. In 1989, a Soviet pilot encountered a glowing sphere while flying near Kapustin Yar. He reported that the object paced his aircraft for several minutes, then shot upward and disappeared. His gun camera recorded the encounter, but the footage was classified and never released. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, some former employees began speaking out. One scientist who worked at Kapustin Yar in the 1970s claimed the base housed a facility dedicated to studying recovered extraterrestrial technology. He described seeing wreckage from unidentified craft, materials that could not be identified, and propulsion systems that operated on principles unknown to modern physics. He also spoke of an underground laboratory where researchers attempted to reverse engineer these technologies. His claims were never verified, but they align with reports from other whistleblowers. In the 1990s, satellite imagery showed new construction at Kapustin Yar, including what appeared to be a massive underground complex. Ground-penetrating radar conducted by independent analysts detected voids beneath the surface, some stretching over a mile in length. The Russian government dismissed these findings as natural formations, but the symmetry and precision of the voids suggest otherwise. Today, Kapustin Yar remains heavily restricted. The perimeter is patrolled by armed guards, and the airspace above the base is a no-fly zone. Journalists who've attempted to approach the site have been detained, their equipment confiscated. In 2005, a BBC crew trying to film near the base was arrested and held for 2 days before being expelled from the region. What is happening inside Kapustin Yar? Is it simply a military testing range, as the Russian government claims? Or is it a hub for research into technologies and phenomena the world is not ready to know about? The questions remain unanswered, and Russia's silence only makes them louder. Pine Gap, Australia's eyes in the sky. In the remote central desert of Australia, near the town of Alice Springs, lies Pine Gap, one of the most important and secretive intelligence facilities in the world. Officially, it's a joint U.S.-Australian satellite tracking station. Unofficially, it's a surveillance hub capable of monitoring communications, missile launches, and military activity across the entire Asia-Pacific region. But Pine Gap's true capabilities go far beyond what either government has ever acknowledged. The facility was established in 1966, and from the beginning, it operated under a veil of secrecy. Australian citizens were barred from entering. Even Australian government officials had limited access. The base was, and remains, primarily controlled by the United States, specifically the National Security Agency and the Central Intelligence Agency. What makes Pine Gap so mysterious is the scale of its operations. The facility is enormous, covering over 18 square miles, with multiple radomes, massive satellite dishes, and underground facilities that extend deep into the desert floor. Local Aboriginal tribes, who consider the area sacred, have long reported strange lights and sounds emanating from the base at night. In the 1970s, whistleblowers began to reveal the true nature of Pine Gap. It wasn't just a satellite tracking station. It was a signals intelligence hub, capable of intercepting communications from across the globe. It monitored phone calls, emails, military transmissions, and even encrypted government communications. Essentially, Pine Gap was the NSA's eyes and ears in the Southern Hemisphere. But there's more. In the 1980s, reports surfaced that Pine Gap was involved in monitoring and potentially controlling drone strikes and missile systems. During the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, the base played a critical role in coordinating attacks, providing real-time intelligence to military units. In 2013, Edward Snowden's leaks confirmed what many had suspected. Pine Gap was one of the NSA's most important facilities, part of a global surveillance network known as Echelon. The base could intercept billions of communications daily, analyzing them for keywords, patterns, and potential threats. But the most disturbing revelations involved the facility's underground levels. Former employees, speaking anonymously, have described vast subterranean chambers housing supercomputers, data storage systems, and classified research labs. One whistleblower claimed the base had its own independent power grid, water supply, and air filtration system, making it entirely self-sufficient. Another described seeing technology that seemed decades ahead of what was publicly available, including quantum computing systems and AI-driven analysis tools. The Australian government has never fully explained what happens at Pine Gap. When questioned, officials provide vague statements about national security and bilateral cooperation. But even Australian politicians have expressed frustration over their lack of access to the facility. In 2016, protests erupted near Pine Gap, with activists demanding transparency. Police arrested several demonstrators, and the government issued a warning. Entering the restricted zone around Pine Gap is a federal offense, punishable by imprisonment. The message was clear: stay away, and don't ask questions. What is Pine Gap really doing? Is it simply a surveillance hub, as officially claimed? Or is it something more, a center for technologies and operations the public is not meant to know about? The facility remains active, its operations classified, and its secrets buried beneath the Australian desert. These 5 places, Dulce Base, Oebachu Forest, Mount Yamantau, Kapustin Yar, and Pine Gap, represent only a fraction of the locations governments refuse to discuss. Some are hidden in plain sight, their existence known but their purpose denied. Others are so classified that even acknowledging them is forbidden. What are they hiding? Advanced technologies? Dangerous experiments? Evidence of phenomena we're not ready to understand? The governments involved offer only silence. And that silence, more than anything, tells us there's something worth hiding. If you're fascinated by the places governments don't want you to know about, subscribe to see more forbidden locations and classified secrets. Let us know in the comments which restricted area you want us to investigate next. And remember, just because they say it doesn't exist, doesn't mean it isn't there.